everybody, this is Lee from Speech 100, and you're listening to Babae Ka Lang, the show that examines the social phenomenon in our society through speech communication. Today, we're talking about discrimination against women in the Philippines through the lens of interpersonal communication with my peers, JB, Oliver, and Christian. We'll discuss everything there is to know about how women are seen and perceived due to the interpersonal relationships built around them. But first, what is interpersonal communication? According to Miller, interpersonal communication occurs between two individuals when they are close in proximity, able to provide immediate feedback, and utilize multiple senses. Now, I would like to wish all of you a happy Wednesday. Kamusta kayong lahat?
Uy, hi. I'm doing good.
And I'm excited for this.
Yeah, actually, I'm hopeful for this podcast and we hope that everybody listening is doing well too. Sana mag-enjoy kayo and marami kayong matutunan here in our podcast.
That's great to know. Since we will be discussing discrimination against women, I would like to ask you guys, what are the sayings you often hear about women growing up?
For me, girls can't be physically active in activities such as sports.
Honestly, I heard about women are traditionally responsible only for household tasks.
It said women can't stand for themselves and only work for men.
Well, I'm sure you guys know by now, but none of those statements are actually true. But somehow, we have those misconceptions engraved in our minds because of our childhood and the relationships we have with our family. Children are constantly observing the world, mainly studying people and their differences and making deductions based on what they see and hear about these differences. Once kids know to pay attention to gender, they also start drawing black and white conclusions about its meaning. And as kids start to build these gender stereotypes, they start conforming to them. Kagaya ko, when I was a kid, I thought that girls can only play with dolls, then boys can only play with cars or video games. Do you know any gender stereotypes as a kid?
For me, the idea that boys are tough and girls are frail are all from the media that we consume.
Yes, and what makes this worse is our families encourage this mindset of ours. I mean, family is usually considered to be the most important agent of socialization. They give us our first system of values, norms, and beliefs. Typically, there would be a system of gender roles in a family, like how men are traditionally believed to be the main breadwinners, while women are responsible for childbearing only.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, doing house chores kaya yung laging nasasabi sa younger sister ko, kababae mong tao, hindi ka marunong maglaba.
Oo, naalala ko since ako ata yung pinakamatanda sa group na to. Kapag babae, alagang-alaga ng mga magulang, halos ayaw masugatan at palabasin ng bahay. Pero sa lalaki, kahit nasa ilalim na ng sasakyan, hinahayaan pa rin maglaro.
Yes, as a female, I relate to your stories a lot. My mom would nag at me sometimes and dapat maayos ka tingnan palagi or else di ka makakahanap ng asawa. Sometimes discourses like these lead to conflict within our family. I remember this certain theory we learned in speech class. It's called the face negotiation theory by Stella Teng to me.
Yeah, and that theory attempts to explain how people from various cultures create rapport and resolve conflicts while communicating with one another.
To add, that theory holds up the idea of maintaining a face according to culture where people display a desirable attitude.
Makikita natin to kung paano yung mga babae na nag-displace ng face na sa tingin nila magugustuhan ng society. Kasi nung bata pa sila, nakasanayan nilang marinig na dapat ganito, dapat ganyan pag babae.
Tama. Kaya karamihan sa amin, nagpapakita kami ng identity of a stereotypical woman para hindi kami ma-discriminate ng society. Not only that, as I mentioned earlier, nagkakaroon din ng conflict sa bahay when deciding what a woman should be and not be. We can also apply Stella Teng Tumi's theory of individualistic and collectivistic perspective here.
People from a collectivistic culture tend to avoid the conflict while individualistic people dominate the conflict.
Yes, you're right. And within these perspectives, there's 5 conflict styles we mainly practice. First, dominating. It's an approach to make decisions by dominating or controlling. Second, we have the avoiding one. It means staying away from the conflict. Third, obliging. You're giving up to the conflict. Fourth one is compromising. It is an approach to negotiate to come to a solution. And lastly, we have integrating, an approach to work together to reach a solution. Personally, I think my conflict style depends on my relationships. I have an avoiding style for my family, tapos compromising when it comes to my friends. Kayo ba? Ano yung conflict style nyo?
O tingin ko, depende talaga sa sitwasyon kung ano, saan mas magiging okay yung specific approach natin sa isang bagay. Kayo ba?
Actually, same with JD. However, when there's an urgent need for a solution, I'd like to be more dominating or in control more. Ikaw ba, Oliver?
For me, I'm more of a compromising person to meet everyone's needs, but I'm more integrated when it comes to problems.
I see. Halos iba-iba rin pala ang mga conflict styles natin. Sa mga listeners natin, ano ba ang conflict style nyo? Send us your answers through Twitter with the hashtag Babae Ka Lang Podcast. Going back, a research by McCreary and Rhodes named On the Gender Type Nature of Dominant and Submissive Acts actually states that dominant acts are perceived to be more stereotypic of men, whereas submissive acts are seen as more stereotypic of women. This suggests that within the conflict styles, females will have the obliging and avoiding ones, as they are seen as meekly passive. Which isn't entirely true. It's just another stereotype created by society. Because certain stereotypes like these about women are being passed from generation to generation, to which women are put to such constraining standards growing up.
Not only do these stereotypes begin from our childhood and families, they also continue with the relationships we build along the way, whether it be with our friends or workmates.
I agree. There are friend groups na iba ang pagtrato talaga sa babae compared sa lalaki. Like, hindi nila ini-invite yung mga female friends sa mga sports meet or game night kasi halatang di naman daw sila magaling.
Yep, and this misogyny also reaches a classroom, which we'll talk about in the next episode.
That's right. I did mention a while ago that certain stereotypes about women are being passed from generation to generation. And I hope that our generation right now will put an end to it.
Tama.
I think it could happen since there's more awareness, especially in social media, more than ever.
All right. Thanks for listening to Babae Ka Lang Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our in-depth analysis of sexism in the Philippines using interpersonal communication. If you love this podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel and post about us on social media with a hashtag Babae Ka Lang Podcast. If you want to know more about this communicative phenomenon, join us next time when we'll be examining sexism through the lens of instructional communication. That's all for this episode, folks. See you next time.